So I'd love if Mary could share with us something that she found that really helped her. Thanks.
Um, I don't know if this is going to be, it will depend on how it comes out, I think, Cecily, if it'll be helpful or not. Um, Last Sunday I said something and at another Zoom, and Cecily thought it was helpful, it would be helpful, so I'm just going to try and say it again. Um, when Well, first of all, I have a tendency to take things a little bit too seriously, I think. Um, and also, I'd be a glass half empty rather than a glass half full type of person. Um, so, um, Rinpoche, the Mingyur Rinpoche's book title, "In Love with the World," I was baffled by why he would call his book that. It didn't seem to make. I couldn't understand why he did that. You know, why would you be in love with the world? Because um, the world, according to the teachings, is an ocean of suffering. Um, and I was getting a bit um, obsessed, I suppose, that I felt I was missing something from the title. Because just um, many of the Tibetan texts, um, when you look at the title, you get an understand. You can get an understanding of what the text is about. Most of the texts are like that. You look at the title, and it gives you a kind of a feeling for what the text is. Some people even, spend time studying the title. So anyway, I was trying to figure out what was I missing from the title. And then I started doubting myself and thinking, maybe I can't, maybe I don't love like others, or maybe I don't appreciate like others, or maybe I don't have joy like others are like the masters do. Um, and then I was sitting one day, um, and I just decided to smile. And then I observed how I was when I smiled, and it it was quite profound, the effect that it had on me. Um, it was like a lightness came over me, or you could say love or joy, but they're kind of those words sound a bit too grand for what it was. But it was a sense of kind of fulfillment and well-being. Um, and I knew I was okay. And I knew that I wasn't lacking in anything. Um, it was quite profound. It was very simple, but yet it was very profound as well for me. Um, and I think that's the thing with a lot of insights, that they're personal, um, and they are quite profound. They're yours, and they're your take on reality. Um, it was funny because afterwards, Celia, my daughter, was telling me that she was at a teaching of Mingyur Rinpoche's, and he was speaking about the book. The book had just come out, so he was talking about it, and he said that he wanted to call it something like "Looking Forward to Death" or something like that. But obviously, he didn't get away with that. Probably the marketing people had their say or had their way. Um, but it was just funny to me that I had been obsessing about the title of this book, and yet it was just a marketer's title for a book. Um, anyway, so um, Cecily asked if we could sit for a while, maybe. So we'll just sit for a few minutes, and maybe just sit for a few minutes first, and then smile, and then see how you are. Chogyam Trungpa, well, a long time ago, I read a piece in a Chogyam Trungpa book, and I haven't been able to find it since. But um, I thought it was really good. He spoke about the difference between looking and seeing, and he said that in the West we tend to be taught how to look, whereas in Buddhism and particularly in the Dzogchen, you train in how to see. And for instance, if in science, um, somebody has a bright idea, and then they look into that, and maybe they come up with a hypothesis, and then maybe they look more into the truth of that, and maybe they come up with a theory. But it's all kind of directed and focused in a particular direction. It's a particular way of kind of um, following a process. Whereas in Buddhism, in what we're doing here, we're learning how to see. We're freeing ourselves from any kind of uh, agenda or intention, or there is no focus or direction. We're just sitting and seeing what's happening with our mind. And when we do that, the truth can reveal itself without us doing anything. It's very different from looking. But as Mars reminded me earlier, once you're able to see, then you can look. So when we have this ability to see, we always have the tool of looking afterwards. When we get lost or we forget, all we have to do is look again, and we'll see. I don't know if any of this is making sense, but anyway, maybe we'll just sit and see. Just smile. How are you? How do you feel? Back to you, Cecily.
Unmute yourself, Cecily.
Just doing that. Thank you very much, Mary. I think we got a real feeling from what you said, Mary. because
Did anybody
this,
notice any difference?
Yeah, can I say something, please? Yeah, I noticed that, Mary, when you asked us to smile, I felt a bit silly, and then but now this might have happened anyway, I don't know, but I actually found myself thinking about something funny that had happened, and I actually started laughing. Uh, so I don't know if that had anything to do with me smiling, but how it kind of, dare I say, changed the train of my thoughts. Yeah.
Hmm. I suppose I was hoping that maybe you could see that 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 there was I think what it revealed to me was that the um all of the love, joy, appreciation, all those things are already within. They're not they're not dependent on anything external. Um, they're all present here and now. And the problem, the way I saw it, was that I had always had those, but I hadn't noticed them in myself. That even though they were there all the time, I wasn't seeing it, or I wasn't seeing them. Um, it's it's quite deep, I suppose. It's a very simple way of being. There is nothing complex in it at all. It's yeah, just seeing.
I
I
think,
think, um, Mary, I felt when I smiled, thought I was going to cry.
Yeah,
I just got this feeling over me straight away. Thought a tear was going to come, but it's like I came out of it fast.
hmm.
That's what that's what happened to me now.
Yeah. I think with
Mhm.
this, you don't have to analyze it at all. You just experience it. Um,
Mm.
so it was a strange thing. Okay, I suppose to feel sad, but it doesn't matter. It's all about seeing
mm,
and experiencing. Um,
I'm glad you said it was about seeing Mary, because something funny happened for me. I had to rejig my notes as you were talking, because I was going to talk about how I looked. You said about Westerners being taught how to look,
okay.
and I was going to refer to something. I can put it in my notes, but I think it's become irrelevant. But instead, just like there's like a seeing happened for me. Just I was in a bad foul mood, and I was making curny bread, what I call curny bread. It doesn't have any currants in it because we can't get currants here in Spain. But I was going through stuff in the kitchen, like just I'm in the kitchen, and I felt kind of threatened or squished. And then it was like I just saw, but that's not even that I saw that's not me, but I saw how it could be. And the words that come to mind are like natural remembrance. It's there, like you say, the qualities are there all the time, Mary. But, you know, and the wonderful thing about this is it's because it's your nature, it's there all the time. And because it's a natural remembrance, you can remember it even if you have memory loss or Alzheimer's or anything like that. It's not dependent on it. So it's just like you see, you mentioned well being. It's just like that. And I think it's funny because it's happening to me all the time. Like even when I put on this after the shower, I saw as I was, and the stories of Mingyur Rinpoche talking about, he mentions how he was drinking a glass of orange juice and he was able to see like 6 times between taking the orange juice up for a sip. And it's like you're seeing and you're seeing clearly. So I could still make the corny bread. And it's like Sagil Rinpoche was able to move a candle, out of away from a tanka so that it wouldn't cause a fire or anything. And it's not that they leave the nature of mind. The nature of mind is always there. So thank you very much, Mary.
Can I just
And
say something about crying? Crying isn't necessarily sad.
yeah.
I often cry because something is beautiful.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
More often than because something is sad, in fact. That's just an aside, anyway.
There is a release in it as well.
Mary, do you think it's just the smiling to yourself induces a sense of ease so that you can see, instead of if you're tense and busy and, like we are most of the time, it's not so easy to see our nature and just see, just be. Whereas maybe the smile just kind of released everything, released that tension and busyness and worry or, stuff we sort of live in most of the time.
Yeah, I think that's what it did. It released tension. They say that when you smile or when you frown, you're using a lot more muscles in your face than you would be if you smile. So I think when I smiled, because the face that I show the world is serious. This is a serious place. There's serious work to be done, and this was letting go, I suppose. And it just had the effect of, and it still does when I smile, the tension goes. And there's effort in that, even though I'm not aware of it. So that's the release. That's the release of tension and the opening then to these qualities that are always there. That's my analysis of it. But I suppose we tend to ruin things by too much analysis as well. So I suppose if we can just experience something and just be with the experience and enjoy it, maybe that's what would be more helpful to us.
as Turker Organ said, experience is at the point where you know it by yourself. So that's you experienced it, Mary, yeah? Like that.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there an element, that when you smile, you just kind of, it's the outward sign that you've just given yourself permission to relax?
Mm.
Mm. What I found interesting as well when I relaxed or released is there was a confidence in it. Stuff just dissolved. I didn't have to try or I didn't have to struggle. Stuff just, all the feeling squished or threat or fear or whatever that I had was gone, Don't know if you can hear that. It's a neighbor calling a dog. Would you like to meet in groups to say hello? Are you happy to hang out here?
I kind of wondering if you could say something.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm hoping on Wednesday that we, you see, there's this thing about, there's like advice, which is to say that when you're in meditation, you don't try to judge anything. You're just trying to be very open. And okay. So you're just meant to be very open. You're not meant to be thinking about things, judging things, just very open. And if there are thoughts there, you're just very open. You leave them alone. You let them do their thing, But actually it's said that when you finish the meditation, it's very good to actually try to understand what it is that you've just experienced. In other words, to try to be able to recognize a fundamental aspect of being. And it has all these kind of qualities. So what I was hoping to do on Saturday, I'm going to have to do like a public meditation thing for the 15 minutes or so. But in the after, I want to go through and so that we can try and recognize aspects of the freedom of mind, and so we can try to recognize aspects of that. The difficulty is that when you go to examine these aspects, usually we examine with our mind. Now, do you know what that means? Instead of examining with our mind, which is making judgments and saying, oh, this is this, that is that, right? Instead of that, what we try to do is to actually feel the experience. It's not a mental activity. It's where you actually feel the openness, the spaciousness, the kindness, the ease, these things. So that's what I'm hoping to do on Saturday, is that we'll do that kind of thing.
We've heard that advice loads of times about not doing the analysis when you're actually in the process of meditating. But just
and I'm adding in a thing here. I'm adding in a thing here. I'm adding in a thing here as well, Cecily, which is you don't do the analysis after the sitting either. You understand? You don't try to put it into a mental framework. You try to understand it in terms of your personal experience, not in terms of conceptual frameworks. Do you get this? Do you get this point?
Is it that you look at the feeling?
You're not looking at it. You're feeling it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right. So I'm not so sure how I can do it. Well, I'm going to have a go. Because it's very important, because once you've identified through direct experience what this is, it's much easier to relax into it. It's much easier to have it as a point of refuge when difficult circumstances arise. because you have identified it, not intellectually. You've identified it on a heart level, on a feeling level, on a direct level.
It's very much what Tulga Organ says about experience being at the point, or is at the point where you know it by yourself, you know it. There's that knowing.
And it's not an intellectual, there's a point you keep trying to bring up. It's not an intellectual knowing, it's experiential. That put paid to the conversation.
There's a very strong impulse, isn't there? Or I feel it anyway, to try and put it into words.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's because I'm trying to grasp onto it or something, or fix it, so it doesn't get away from me. Yeah, I do that a lot.
And the interesting thing is that the more you have this experiential relationship with your being, then you discover it there all the time. It's not that you have to corral it, and it's not like a child that's been taught to do a performance piece. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It's not like anyway. That.
Yeah, I think if you don't put it in a framework, it keeps it fresh.
That's right.
Yeah, because I can even feel myself killing it, in a sense. But so I'd be interested in what you have to say about how to not do that.
Even talking about it seems to diminish it in some way, because it's not conceptual. It's an experience.
Words can't describe it.
Like looking at something beautiful and then taking a picture, and you go home, you look at the picture, it's no good. It doesn't come near.
Yeah,
It doesn't come near the experience.
good example.
I like what you said. We're going ahead, Renee.
No, just want to say I like that what you said, Martin. This picture of the child needing to perform. All the hope and fear are then active, isn't it? With one's looking, and if one can let go of that, it's a completely different space, connection with oneself.
There's an interesting point here, Irene, as well. I'm off now, so you better tell me when it's time to shut up. I'm like this old guy, more bread or I'll appear. It's interesting is that you don't. This is what Adele reminded me of. Is that actually you really don't have to change anything. Why? Because it self-liberates. Our problem is taking it so seriously, so solidly. If we have this openness, then whatever happens, whatever story your ego feeds you, it's okay. I need to be. I didn't explain that well. Anyway.
I think people really get it, Martin, about being okay, because they feel okay. They know they're okay.
You see, like I had a friend recently, that they were really, really sad, very sad, and basically I said something like, You know, you're right to be sad. You know, the particular situation is just will break your heart, you know. But actually, sadness won't harm you. These experiences don't harm you. And if you have the courage to allow yourself to feel the sadness, you know, that actually out of that energy can actually come an urge to help, an urge to do something about the situation, not to what's the word for it? Not to take out a magic wand and make everything go away. No, but through little acts of kindness, little moments of expressing joy. You understand that the sadness can lead you into a different world, into a softness in your approach to everything. Yeah. So, like we're inclined to think that these emotions, you know, oh, they're bad, you know. No, an emotion can't harm you. Did you know that? Well, I'll tell you one more story, and then I promise I'll shut up. Must be time for the book club. One more story.
This is the book club.
This is the book club. I've told it before, but I'll explain a little bit more. I went to the Cliffs of Moher, and I stood close to the edge, and this little voice came in my head, and it said, "Jump!" Right? Now, I am not that voice. Otherwise, I would have jumped. Do you understand this? All these, yeah. I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I'm not those things. I don't deny them. They're happening. The little voice said, "Jump." Okay, but I didn't jump. And I didn't have to say, "No, I'm not going to jump." I didn't have to deny it. I just left it. Because it's bloody ridiculous. Why would I jump?
Yeah. Like,
that's enough. I'm shutting up now.
Another way of maybe saying what you're saying, Martin, is that thoughts and emotions cease to be VIPs in your life.
Exactly.
VIP, very important. Everyone knows what a VIP is, I'm sure, yeah?